Back in 2013, there were 98 incidents of serious disruption on UK airlines. By last year, that number had jumped to 417, more than 4 times as many. For endangering the safety of an aircraft, offenders can be jailed for up to 5 years.
The investigations into £8 million of loans to Leave.eu, it said, were from Aaron Banks himself. The Electoral Commission suspects Mr Banks was not the true source of the money, that it came, possibly illegally, from an Isle of Man-based company he part owns, and that Mr Banks concealed the true details. He added, "I am confident that a full and frank investigation will finally put an end to the ludicrous allegations levelled against me and my colleagues. There's no evidence of any wrongdoing from the companies I own."
This is the DeLuca family, helped by the new £12,500 personal tax allowance. With 2 cars, the fuel duty freeze helps, and Mum Claire works in primary schools, now getting a £10,000 bonus each. Osara Otterboe is unsure whether a new £500 million fund will help her onto the housing ladder. She questions whether the new £37 million transport investment for the north is enough. She appreciates the new 26 to 30 rail card, but says more should be done for the young. As a retailer, Andrew Taylor benefits from a 1/3 cut in business rates. He welcomes the new digital services tax on internet giants, but has concerns over a new tax on plastic packaging.
The Resolution Foundation says the budget changes leave the poorest 10% of households with an extra £80 a year and the wealthiest 10% with an extra £410. But it points out that when you factor in the welfare cuts, which the Chancellor is sticking with, and which barely affect the income of the wealthiest households, then his budget leaves the poorest £40 a year worse off. Austerity continues.
John Cannan was originally jailed in 1981 for raping a woman. In prison, it's thought he was given the nickname Kipper. He was released 3 days before Susie Lamplugh disappeared and was later jailed for the murder of another woman, Shirley Banks, in 1987. In 2002, police publicly said they believe Cannan murdered Susie Lamplugh, but there wasn't enough evidence to charge him. John Cannan has always denied being involved.
Serious and organised crime in the UK takes many forms: child sexual exploitation and abuse, the sale of illegal drugs and firearms, fraud and money laundering. It's now a threat that affects more people than terrorism, but unlike national security, the government thinks not everyone is alert to it. The latest assessment by the National Crime Agency shows that there are around 4,600 serious and organised crime groups in the UK. This criminal activity is costing the UK economy £37 billion a year.
Many of the 45 cases in the dossier are too offensive to broadcast, but it includes comments about, quote, a Zionist extremist MP who hates civilised people about to get a good kicking, and a Labour councillor accused of subjecting a child to 10 years of hell with racial slurs, including Jew boy.
Susie Lamplugh vanished after meeting a mysterious client known as Mr. Kipper at a house in Fulham, West London in 1986. Police never located her and she was declared dead, presumed murdered, in 1994. In 2002, John Cannon, in jail for another murder, was named as the prime suspect, and the following year police searched his mother's home in Sutton Coldfield for the first time.
Sussex Police, what's your emergency?
My sister's crazy ex just smashed through the window shooting.
Your sister's ex-partner?
My sister's ex, he's already been reported, it is on file.
Replacing this fume cupboard used for chemistry experiments could cost as much as £15,000. Repairing the benches in the playground, another £5,000. And reopening a classroom that's currently deemed unsafe, well, that could eat up the rest of the money.
In June of 2014, hospitals in England suddenly began reporting cases of septicemia in their neonatal units. There were around 20 cases in all, and 3 of those babies died, at least one as a direct result of the infection. Today, ITH Pharma has been charged in 7 of those cases with supplying a medicinal product which was not of the nature or quality specified in the prescription. It's also charged with breaching the Health and Safety at Work Act.
The investigations into £8 million of loans to Leave.eu, it said, were from Aaron Banks himself. The Electoral Commission suspects Mr Banks was not the true source of the money, that it came, possibly illegally, from an Isle of Man-based company he part owns, and that Mr Banks concealed the true details. In Bermuda. He added, "I am confident that a full and frank investigation will finally put an end to the ludicrous allegations levelled against me and my colleagues. There's no evidence of any wrongdoing from the companies I own."
More than 2 million people in the UK are addicted to gambling. Tracy Crouch claimed gamblers would spend £1.6 billion between now and when the limit is introduced. Fixed odd betting terminals, known as the crack cocaine of gambling, generate £1.8 billion in revenues for the industry every year.
A daily occurrence.
There was nowhere to escape, nowhere to run, so I just gave in.
Police officers see pretty women and try to find something wrong. Offering your body is so common.
The man who sexually assaulted me finalised my release. I thought I was lucky.
It is often only when they have escaped that North Korean women
Niels Hogel worked at 2 hospitals in northern Germany between 1999 and 2005. He was jailed for attempted murder in 2008 after being caught injecting a patient with unprescribed medication, before being convicted again in 2015 of 2 murders and 2 attempted murders, when he also revealed he'd killed other patients, and the full scale of his crimes began to emerge.
Serious and organised crime is costing the UK. Here are some of our most wanted. This woman laundered £1 billion and is still on the run. Fraud by this man saw the UK lose £25 million. And this man's drug business is worth millions too. It's now so bad the government says it costs us more than terrorism. The National Crime Agency says organised crime is costing the UK £37 billion. It's an increase of over 50% in the last 5 years. In the same period, police spending in England and Wales has fallen by almost 4% to just under £13 billion. Police numbers has fallen by 6% to just over 122,000 officers.
The 182-metre statue dwarfs the Spring Temple Buddha in China, the next tallest in the world, is double the size of the Statue of Liberty and more than 3 times the size of Nelson's Column.